All right, so maybe I'm streaming again. Sorry, that was the boss calling. So that that one wins. And I don't know how to mute. And that unmutes. Okay, so now I know how to mute. I just couldn't figure that out quickly. Hi, hello, Planet 12, if you're still there. Let me just make sure this is still working again. I've got it going. Channel. Streaming, it says. That's a good sign. Well, this actually will kind of work out okay because now I'm actually ready to start doing some work. So all that other stuff was introduction. This will actually be work. I do want to see this go, though. It's not that I don't trust it. I just don't trust it. It's not that I don't trust it. I'm just not familiar enough with it. So give us a second here, folks. We'll just verify that this is going and I've got everything lined up properly. I think I do. Good. And also, I want to redo this real quick. Wow, when you stream up and then...
this actually will kind of work.
Whoops. That's going to be a problem. Switch to non-mod settings. And then pop out chat again. Anger the computer by streaming up and down at the same time. Okay, so just because this will be a second video, the goal here is I'm restructuring the way that the files for my website work. And I've already talked about this once, and so I know what I'm doing now a little bit more. But basically, what I've got is the old structure that I had for my site made it really easy to see. It had a year/file name directory structure, so you can see the files here. So in 2009, here's 2019, here's the post that happened in 2019. When I moved everything over from and the other trick, just to show you real quick, is I used to have, and I still do have, a directory structure where, or the structure is basically set up so that all the URLs are like www.alanwsmith.com/file name, basically, or /article name, blog name. I had to jump through a bunch of hoops to kind of make that happen. But now, and one of the problems with that, though, is inside the directory of all those files, which is here, there's no year separation. So there's 800 something files in there, 851 files now. There'll be more as I add stuff over time. So I'm going to be writing a script that will take these files and actually move them into those year structure files to make them easier to see, is basically what I'm doing. And while I'm doing that, I'm going to actually, I'm going to add another level in here. So what this will actually end up being is something like posts 2020/secure Hugo. So that'll be the URL structure. I really like kind of I spent a lot of time on a couple of different software platforms making URLs that look like this. And I really kind of like the simplicity and like the beauty of them. And also like, I kind of get bummed out sometimes when you go to a thing and it's like 2005. Like, I don't like seeing that in the URL because it feels old. Like, I mean, it is old, but like, and well, I guess it doesn't super matter because I've got the dates up here, but something about seeing it in the URL always makes me like, yeah, do that a little bit. But in order to make it easy to maintain the site, the easiest way to do that is to drop the URL. So like I'm sacrificing a little bit of those URLs, the cleanliness or the purity of the URL that I like, in favor of ease of maintainability of the site. So that's what we're going to be doing. And I just want to see. Yeah, so that's what I thought. Okay. And I'm going to play around with this a little bit. So actually, we're going to make a new Jekyll site real quick. So I've got, Jekyll, Hugo. So I just want a test site to play around with real quick. So I've got Hugo installed. So Hugo, new site, temp dir test, which is an awful name. So if I go in there and then I run this command Hugo server dash capital D, that will spin up a local web server at localhost on port 1313. That has nothing in it. Oh, you got to give it a theme. Okay, wait, sorry. So I didn't follow all the directions. We're gonna go do this real quick. So I'm in there. Get init. It wants to do this because you got to have a theme going. So we're just gonna use the default one based off what they say. Copy and paste to get started. I love it. And then we got to do this to tell it which theme to use once it pulls down all this stuff. We'll give that a minute. And pour ourselves a nice little Sprite. Sprite 0, whatever. Okay, so that's gone. And so now we're going to echo that in, which just writes. It just throws this at the end of it. I could have just as easily opened the file and done it that way. But that theme Enki is what I put in, right? This. So where are we in our notes? Add some content. Here we go. So what I think I'm going to want to do, and this is where I want to play around with the structure. Hugo new, just Hugo new, right? Posts 2020 is this thing on index.md. And so right here in the Hugo documentation, they're talking about making the file name just /md versus what I did, which is I made the post name a directory and then put /index.md after it right here. And the reason I did that is inside content posts 2020 is this thing on. So this is the file that just made. And you can see there's not much to it. Close all this stuff for a second. Uh-oh, it's thinking. Wow, that's angry. I think part of the reason that that's angry, and this is something I talked about a little while ago, is because there's all those 800 files in that one directory or folders or items. That's getting those large numbers in a single directory on a Mac or a Linux machine, and probably Windows too, I'm not sure, causes performance issues. Like it has to go do a whole bunch of things and look at all those files and figure out what it wants to do. But real quick, what we're going to do, whoops. So, no, I'm going to try and use code. So I'm going to try and use Visual Studio Code again, not to write my Python script, because I tried doing that earlier and something was freaking out. Or I don't know how to do virtual environments on it. I'll figure that out. But I'll just use Visual Studio Code for showing you the directory structure stuff and files. Could also be using a Finder. But this is good. Yeah, so here's I'm now in my this allenwsmith.com draft script archive. Here's draft scripts. Don't like the way it does that. archive prod. Here's our temp directory test. So that file that I did when we did Hugo new, that, and then this directory, or sorry, this path, you can see here that it puts it in woodshed, Alnos with the content, whatever. It puts it under content basically, and then it builds out the rest of that tree. So if we look under content, oh, see, I do not like this. I want to be able to explode all those things out individually. So here's content, posts, 2020 is the thing on index.h and then index.md. So that's the structure that I want to have for posts 2020 for dealing with the files, right? Because that's a lot easier to deal with than the Jekyll, than the existing stuff where there's 800 items on the same page. All right, so now we're gonna go back here for a second. So let's see, is that all we needed to do? Yep, start the Hugo server. So now we get inside that temp dir test directory, which is that's the root of our Hugo site. And so there's our content directory. And if we look in content, there's the posts, 2020 is this thing on, there's our index.html. Cool. So at the root of it, you do Hugo server -D, which the capital D tells it to allow drafts. That's so fast. Because right now in code, this draft is set to true. So if you don't do the -D when you're doing the Hugo server command, this post wouldn't show up. So let's see what that actually got us. So we're on localhost 1313, my new Hugo site. There you go. Recent post is this thing on. That's super cool. Okay. There we go. So that's the structure that I want to do. And if I go there, yeah, okay, cool. I just wanted, and so I want to look at the URLs, right? So it's post 2020. Is this thing on? I aesthetically, I don't like that last slash at the end of it. And you could, oh, actually it bounces off index.html. Interesting. But that is what it is. I'm not worried about that aspect of the URL. Like part of me, it bugs me a little bit because it's like, oh, it should just be super clean and end. But whatever, because to me, something comes after a slash, not nothing. Anyways, so that's what we're going to be doing. Now that I've spent an hour of not doing anything other than talking about the stuff that I'm going to do, we'll get going. So first we're going to clean up all that mess. Whoops. Oh yeah, also you can't see, so I use an application called Alfred is my, instead of Spotlight for going to jumping apps and doing things. So unfortunately it defaults just a little bit above where you can see the whole thing. So if you see me doing stuff, you'll see things pop down or whatever, but that's like I type SA and that gets me to Safari. Maybe. Did I close it? Yeah. So let's get rid of this. Temp dir tests because we don't need that. So I'm going to go through this again just so you can see what I'm doing. Nothing going on there. Nothing going on there. So, so I just created a scripts directory here where I want to write. This is where I'll build the script, and I like having a scripts directory if I'm doing stuff like this, and then I also want another directory specifically for the script, even if the script is only one file, because lots of times they advance to more than one files. So update directory structure. And also, let me do this. Oops, hang on. That's probably fine. Nope, it's not gonna be fine. Oh, it is fine. Stand by. Oh, okay, gotcha. So there was just, and I could have done this a different way, but this star is telling me, so I'm on this branch in Git, which is where I'm doing my dev stuff. This little star tells me that something has changed, and I could have just done this, but I use GitHub Desktop, which I think is an older version for showing me diffs, because it's a little easier to parse and read for me. I just don't spend as much time doing diffs, so I just wanted to see what that change was. But anyways, update directory structure. So my system uses Python 2. That's on the Mac, and you don't want to go through whatever version of the operating system I'm using. I like using Python 3. I don't want to have to type Python 3 every time, and I might want to do different modules, et cetera, et cetera. So what I do is use this command, which uses a module called venv, virtual environment, to make a folder called venv and stack it with a virtual environment. So this will take us a second here. So now I've got that venv directory. And if I do source virtual environment bin. So if I'm just going down in that folder and then hit this activate file, and now if I do Python version, you'll see it's Python 3.6 or 3.7.6. The reason for that is because it's now, when I run the Python command, this activate thing basically says, hey, don't look at the system Python, look at the one that I just created over here. And that's a Python 3 script or whatever. And so I can do pip stuff, and I can install modules and do whatever, and it's not going to touch my system top level stuff. So I really like virtual environments. I use them for most of my stuff. All right, so now we're going to actually make the script. Update or all right, where you go, user bin environment for Python, or the Python environment. Print hello world. This is what my boss called last time. Whoops. Okay, the other reason I'm using Vim instead of Visual Studio Code is because I've already got this set up, so I can just run two quick hotkeys and run the script. So when I'm going through and doing stuff, right, it's it just makes it super easy to go through and like edit and then make changes and fire it up and see what works. So when you get going in the code, that's super helpful. Whoops, nothing there. Okay. So the directory structure that we're trying to do, can't remember if I already said this or if this was the last one. But so the source is going to be this content directory here. I'm not sure I want to do this yet. I'm not going to worry about that at the moment. So prod contents, right? And this is going to show us all 800 something files. There you go. So we should go to word count line 852, which is different than the 851 this is seeing. It must be a hidden file. zip file in there? No. I don't know. No, it was LL head. I don't know where it is. Interesting. Whatever. Don't worry about that. So this is going to be the source directory that we know we want to use. And I like using full paths whenever possible. Just because. Not whenever possible, but in this instance, I would just want to use the full path just because I've got a couple different copies of all this stuff running around, so I'm going to use the full path. I also have a little command that I wrote. I don't know if this is going to work. Yeah. So on a Mac, if you set up an alias with this command, what it lets me do is I built this command called pwc, and that will automatically put the directory, whichever directory you're in, on the clipboard so that you can paste it somewhere else, which I find super happy. So we can go back over here. We don't want to go to prod. We want to go to prod v2 structure content. Okay, I'll stop typing commands before the actual prompt comes up. That's my machine's running slow because OBS is running on it. Also, it's 5 years old. So this is, and so again, I'll just do pwc, and you'll see that this path has now come there. Whoops, wait. Oh. What the hell? Oh, I see what happened. So when I'm using the terminal software called iTerm2, and whenever you highlight something, that copies it. So I just copied over what I had copied here. So if I do pwc and I don't go highlight something else and then I paste, you get that. So cool. Nothing's gonna happen. All right, so I could have these going. Be nice. It's a little background music. Oh, I should put. That'd be funny. I could actually have a little window up here that flashed whenever my Spotify changed, so you could actually potentially listen to the music at the same time and hear what I'm hearing in the background. I don't know why you'd want to do that, but it's possible. So now what I need to do is basically I just need to get a list of all these directories to start with, or directories and files, because I did see that there's one file in here somewhere. There. Oh, and that's actually. I'm actually going to change that. Because if that's the only one that's in there. All right. So we're going to do. Find command line file. Whoops. Field. Find, replace multiple files. All right, so I'm going to try. I'm just trying to get better about using some of the tools that are available. So inside prod content, if I do find dot type f, oh, it goes down into the thing. How do we do? command line find only one directory. Max depth. What does that do? There you go. Okay, cool. Oh, there's the file that we're missing, the .ds_store file. Okay. So basically what I wanted to do, I wanted to just make sure, so I ran down this, and visually I was pretty sure there was only the one file instead of directory, and everything else was directories. But this explains that .ds_store is a Mac file, so that's why we're seeing when you do ll and you pass it to word count-list, which gives you the number of lines, or maybe it's word count-lines. I can't remember what the L stands for, but that's why I'm seeing 852 here as compared to 851 in here, because the Finder doesn't see files that start with a dot. They're in there and it knows about them, but by default it doesn't show them. So that file is what was making that one difference. So anyways, what I wanted to do was I wanted some code to verify for me that there really was only one file in there. So the find command, and basically it's use the find command and you say in the current directory, which is dot. I could also do that this way. So I could go to this specific directory, I think. So in that directory, which would be the same thing as dot, because that's where we are, type of file, but I don't want to have it, find will go the entire tree down. So you do max depth 1. That should give us the same thing. There you go, yeah. Oh, and it gives you the full files, or it gives you the full paths. That's cool. I wonder what find without the dot does. Probably nothing. Yeah, you gotta have a dot. Okay, you gotta have a path. Cool. Okay, so now what I can do, I'm gonna change this up just a little bit. So this will make it easier for me because I've got this one file. Come here. Right. So that's the only file. That's a unique file. Everything else has a folder name with an index in it. And by the way, the reason for the folders is you can Jekyll and Hugo. Hugo can deal with things as a page and a page bundle, which I don't totally get yet, but it lets you put images in there, and so that's where you do the association. So I'm doing everything as a directory with the index file in there, and then from there that lets me throw images in. So all that said, basically what I want to do, secure Hugo, and that's actually the most recent. So that was the first post that I wrote on Hugo. After I moved the site to Jekyll, I think. Maybe it wasn't. Secure Hugo, Tech Talk, whatever. Rough, blah, blah, blah. You just go, Jekyll's been pretty great. Yeah, so this is when I moved the site to using Hugo for the back end, or for the software generation, or page generation. But so this, and that shows you a little bit about Hugo. So Hugo looks for MD files, markdown files, underneath content, and then builds them out. And so, like, because this index is in the new blade, like, it understands, like, I should be able to go here and do this, and there's that. Oh, it's from 2005. So now just what I want to do, I've made that secure Hugo. Oh, and actually what I should be doing here, oh yeah, so prod, I actually want to fire up my local version of Hugo, which is again Hugo server -d. I think I'm in the right place. get rid of a couple of these. Oh, I want to... Actually, hang on a second. Because I want to copy that command. So I do... what's one with the dot? I use an application called NVAlt, which there's a new one coming out soon that's going to be called NV Ultra, which I think I'm looking forward to so much because it's going to be an upgraded version of this. This is like my brain. So find all files in a directory. Find all files in a directory. I should also say again, I said this in the other one, in the pre one. I don't have. This is the way that I work. It's taking me longer to do it right now because I'm talking out loud and explaining stuff. But like, as I'm doing these right now, I'm not trying to basically say, "Oh, here's how you do this and here's how you do this." This is watching me code. Just to see my thought process, just to see a thought process. Mine, I guess, or not, I guess it's mine. But so this is exactly what I would do even if I wasn't streaming. I would have gone and found that find command to go look for the file because I want to make sure it was there, and it was the only one that was there. And I would copy it and like all this stuff I'm doing. So and these things aren't, or this one isn't, and most of them probably won't be, where I've already done the solution basically, and then I know how to just like step through it. I'll do some of those. Like I've got another one that I want to do where I show from start to finish how to build a Hugo site that works with example.com and www.example.com, both hosted off of Amazon S3 with CloudFront for a CDN and going over HTTPS, which I think you have to do with CloudFront. Anyways, like I've done part of that work, but I haven't done all of it yet. And so one of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to do some test runs for it. And eventually I'll have one of those test runs and I'll end up just recording that as its own thing. I may do that live with Twitch. I may not. Actually, I probably will because I think this is fun. Like, it'll basically be the same thing because like I might as well just record it on Twitch and if somebody asks a question, hey, cool. What was I gonna say? Anyways, back to this. Yeah, so this is what I do. This is how I do. So like I haven't actually, other than define the source and destination directory, I haven't done anything on this script in an hour and a half. Except all this other work really is part of it. Now, this would have taken me like 5 minutes to get here. Because I was doing all the explanation and all the other stuff, but that's how I want to do these. Like I'm visualizing these as being educational in nature. I may have some where I just put on headphones and don't talk to the camera at all and go. Who knows? We'll see what happens with these. But for this one, that's what we're doing. So, anyways, I would also take one more note here. I call it NVAlt my grimoire, which is a book of magic. I think I'm spelling that right. A book of magic spells or invocations. Like, you could also call it a developer's notebook, but I throw all my stuff in here, all these little notes, and like I know, so find would be a hard word to deal with. So this is the search bar that brings you all the files, and it's super fast, which I love about it. So here's all the files that have the word find in it. So that's not super helpful. But I know find is a command line thing, and I set up what's called a nonce word, which is just a string of characters that isn't going to exist generally speaking. So if I do CLI and then dash, because I use dashes for all of them, this shows me all of just my command line stuff. So here's my command line stuff, and there's some down here that like somewhere in this file CLI dash exists. But it does sorting, like it gives you all that. Yeah, so AWS CLI, right? But if I do CLI and then I go down with find, it like sorts down to just those files, right? So highly recommend NVAlt. It took me 4 times trying it to get used to the way it works, because when you Control L brings you up here, and the way that this works is 2 ways. CLI find, is it tab? No. Crap. I'm thinking about it now and I can't do it because it's muscle memory for me. Nope. I don't know what's going on anymore. Anyways, I'm in my own head about it. I don't know how to do it. Oh yeah, find. So if it matches something, that was in a different place, wasn't it? CLI find aliases, find examples, files, all files in a directory. There's my thing. Yeah. So once you match that and you hit enter, it brings you into that file. But if I do a term that it doesn't find and you hit enter, it creates that file and gives you a blank file. So if I go back here and I take again out of there, I should see both my files, right? So it just created this file for me. You got to play around with it, but like the fact that the search and the file creation are in the same place is great, because if you're searching for a thing, you get to it really quickly. And if you don't find it, or you want to make a new thing, it's all in the same mix. It's great. But we're gonna get rid of that. So that's a little bit about. I should do a what is that going on there? I have no idea where that came from. Oh, that's Dropbox. Okay. Whatever. I have to delete that file now because I don't know if you can get to it from that link. It's no big deal if you can. It's going to go on YouTube anyways, but I don't want it. I don't know if there's charging or hosting or whatever. Anyways, files in a directory. Here we go. There's that. As I do more of these, they will be less all over the place. This is one of my first ones, maybe 5th one, whatever. And to find. So take that out. And then the other thing, just to verify, because I'm pretty sure this will work. Yeah, so when I'm working on things like this, and for directories, like if I've done a files thing and they're like directories are going to be next, like almost certainly this is going to work. There you go. So that gives you all the directories, and you can count the directories, whatever. Oh, is that 852? DS-store is a directory, maybe? No? Who knows? Okay, who cares? There we go. I should use the find command more. Its syntax throws me off, even though it's actually pretty simple once you get down to it. It doesn't click in my brain very much. So let's get Hugo spun up again, because I do want to make Hugo. Let's do it in the right directory. So you're there. But what I want to do here, right, so here's the localhost version. So this is what's running on the machine. Oh yeah, I've got two files in here that are drafts. So they aren't they're only built with this -D. So Hugo Tech Talk. But what I want to do, going all the way back, is to make this here so that everything works the same way instead of having this one outlier. And so I want to move that, and I want to have the Hugo running so I can verify that it works. Not surprising that it works, but check your work. So cool. Oh, it tells you what it's doing. Okay, so we're gonna do a couple cleanup things here real quick. So Git is trying to grab all this virtual environment. I don't need that. So I'm gonna, whoops. I don't know what I'm gonna do. I don't know how visual works. Uh-oh. I don't know the visual stuff of whatever. So I'm just gonna add this into my git ignore in that directory to ignore that directory. So there we go, much better. And so really what I want to do, so here's the change that I just made. So here you go. So send those up. Okay, cool. Fine. We don't need to do anything in directory structure yet. I'm just gonna clear this. Draft updates, just because that's a post that I'm working on, and I keep my site in Git, so I made some changes to it that I hadn't committed yet, so now they're committed. So now we're back to just our script as being the only thing that's not there yet. And I don't feel a particular need to just do those directories. So, what do we have? We have goodness going. All right, so now we're actually ready to kind of work on the script. So we go back into Vim, got our script going. Cool. Let's see. Actually don't need that running. But what I do want to have, now that I'm thinking about it, is I really just need to duplicate this entire directory because I want the full there's a 6,890, 6,900 items in there. So there's a bunch of stuff that is in the Hugo dir. I have no idea what all that stuff is. That's incredible, 7,000 items. So what I'm gonna do is, because I want all the other work that I've done on the site to be the same. So I'm just gonna make a duplicate copy of it. I'll blow away the content directory because that's the one that I'm working on in the new version. And then my script will pick stuff up out of the existing version, do the translations, and then drop the translations into the new location. And I always want to work that way. I never want to operate directly on the structure. So like if I had one copy of the site and I was like, oh, I could write a script and just have it like move everything in place. Horrible idea. You're gonna burn yourself 50 different ways and you're gonna lose files or have to go back to version control. Be using version control, by the way, if you're not. Wow, this is taking a long time to duplicate. That's okay, whatever. That's what it needs to do. because you make one little mistake and you overwrite your original stuff and you're done. Or you gotta go back and find a new version or find the old version. So one of the things I'll do at the top of the script is I'll actually empty the first thing the script will do will be to empty the target location out of stuff. So I can every time I run the script, it's not gonna leave any cruft, or it makes sure there's no cruft from a prior run. Because like most of the time you'll want to be updating stuff, and holy cow, I am surprised this is taking so long. What is going on? Oh, this is not helping. Backblaze is also running at the moment. All right, we'll just have to wait for it. Oh, hey, we're moving. Actually, and we do this, and then we do this, which I have queued up for all times. Because when you're in conference calls every now and then in meetings, it's helpful to have this. Is it playing? Wait. Oh, there it goes. Okay, I can't do that for real though, because it's gonna. Well, I guess so this is the thing I don't know about Twitch. So I guess it would just mute when it's doing the video on demand. It would probably just mute that time, but I don't want to mess with copyrighted sound for that. Maybe I'll do some experiments when I'm not doing a real thing, because I'd be afraid that like it's copyright infringement. The whole video goes down. That would be frustrating, and overkill and a bunch of other stuff. So yeah. Oops, yeah, it's dead. Or it's off because we stopped it. So while that's going, actually I'll probably finish before I do anything else. Yeah, okay. The other one, I use footnotes instead of links most of the time. Everything's slow. There we go. I want to update the style sheet. Like the footnotes are too bright for me. I love the way they work in terms of being able to go up and back, but I don't like the style on them. They're too bright. It's just like that VS Code that I was talking about in the other one, where I don't want the brightest thing to be a secondary thing. So because it draws your eye a little more than I prefer. Cool. All right. Prod target. Hooray. So now this changed. And we want to go here. I'm going to leave that running. We're going to make another terminal, or another, terminal, whatever. Yeah, let's move you here. So, Woodshed, alanwsmith.com. So we're going to prod target. Whoops, don't do that. Prod target. Content. So I'm going to use my PwC command again, because I'm lazy. We need a better word for that. Like there's a whole thing with the lazy programmer, and like that's kind of the idea, but I don't like the connotation of lazy. We need to come up with something new there. Whatever. Right. So yeah. So the first thing we need to do. Hey. 18 hours in, we're doing stuff now. I don't know how people do. Uh-oh. Wait. I told you I'm not. This is embarrassing. Like, okay, folks, I've been programming for a while, but I haven't been doing that much Python, even though I've been doing it for a couple of years. But it's still not in my head enough what the syntax is here. So like, and I haven't been like a programmer, but I've been writing code since 1997, 6. So if you're new to this, don't feel bad about it. Like, that's one of the reasons I want to do this too, is to show like it comes down to basically everything's trial and error, and that includes things like writing syntax, right? So hopefully this will work. Nope. Oh, wait, so I gotta do this, right? Is this how this works? Nope. Oh. I spelled it wrong. Clear. And see, errors. Hey, we're here. We found that. Cool. So, back to my grimoire, right? So, the way that I use this is whenever I do something new that I don't know, I write it down in here. And I don't remember if I've done Python scripts to clean directories before, but I just jump back to the grimoire and do py, which is my little nunce word or py dash, which gets me into my Python scripts or my Python notes. And then delete, right? So I just do py delete. And I can scan really quickly, delete a file, delete files in a directory, delete files in a directory recursively. So I kind of scan through, and like, you just kind of make good notes, right? So, oh wow. So, and then you just go through, oh yeah, so rem tree. Okay. So shutil rem tree. And so what we should have happen here, whoops, that was weird. So here's our target, well, you can't see all that. Here's our target directory, or prod target content. So we're gonna go from prod to prod target in the content directories. So prod target content currently has all this junk in it. Junk, it's my blog. Just I find kind of proud of it. So I want to nuke, in prod target, I want to nuke all this stuff. So I go back to my grimoire recursively. So if I do, and so I go back and forth. Like sometimes I'll copy and paste, but oftentimes I'm finding myself these days typing to, and so here, like I type a line, and sometimes I'll just run the code to make sure I didn't mistype something. Because like if I'd done an extra S or something, it would have blown up, right? So get rid of that S, run it again, doom, boom. So we've got the directory path, which we've already got defined right here. So this is going to delete. This is actually going to delete the directory itself, which I can then recreate, but I want to see. So let's go look at Python. Whatever, pick some. rm tree, delete the entire tree. Avoid symlink attacks. Yeah, so this is... So I could spend some time if I wanted to figuring out how to write the command so that it actually, instead of deleting content, it only deleted all the stuff inside content and left the content directory there. But I didn't see how to do that immediately, because like that would I like the idea of that more efficiently, like, because I want the content directory to exist. I don't want to like deleting it and then recreating it is an extra step as compared to just deleting all the stuff that you want deleted. But it's a minor extra step that'll take a billionth of a second and should be trivial to do, because I'm guessing shutil also has a mkdir make directory. But so we're just gonna go with this. Part of me would almost, so the let me do this. This should be formatted. Let's put that over. Oh, sorry, that's all one script. Never mind. Yeah, so this is actually a full script. So it would be pretty easy for me to just do this without the try and the accept on it. But because this is kind of a one-off script, I'm kind of tempted to do that. But I also am going through the thing of like trying to apply some best practices stuff. Now, one of the best practices would really be to like put tests on this, but I'm not quite to that level. Like I'm not there yet. Plus tests I'm not as good at yet. So like doing the balance. But so we're gonna do the full try shutil rm tree, remove tree, session tree. And also that gets me used to doing exception stuff. It exploded. And yes, I'm inconsistent on the single quotes versus double quotes. All right, so ran it. Boom, gone. So now, make a directory if it doesn't exist. Oh, all kinds of notes here. Pathlib. shutil. Now I'm actually curious. Oh yeah. Copy tree example. Mector. Yeah. Okay. So you got to have shutil doesn't have a mector. All right, so but I've got my notes here. So I still did pi directory, which was my search, and then when I click, you can see it changes up here. But make a directory if it doesn't exist. There's a bunch of notes in here, so I just want to see. I'm just kind of going through it. I'm guessing I copied this. Oh no, this may be. So I also try and keep notes about where I found stuff. Oh no, sorry, this is a post basically, because those are links back. I don't know if I copied this from somewhere else or not. But anyways, whoops. Oh yeah, so if also I can keep running the script. Oh yeah, okay, it exploded. So that's why the try and catch work, because that directory isn't there. So we did catch an error. There we go. Definition is already gone. Better error message. And like we don't need to blow up at that point. Like if that directory is not already there, that's fine. If that mattered in a way that would make something else break later, we would make sure the script actually exploded and stopped working. Because I think, is it still going? Yeah. So that error didn't cause the script to exit, but that's okay because the fact that it's not there doesn't matter. What would be an example? So like an example would be if you were about to, so say you were looking for a file, you're going to read the contents of that file and then write some outputs. But if that file didn't exist, it would overwrite existing outputs. That doesn't make a lot of sense, but go with me. Then you would want to say, if that file doesn't exist, die hard, like crash out, like don't go any further because we're not in a stable state. This is more of an optional, like, hey, if this thing's there, this is more of an if then. If it's there, then kill it. If it's not, don't worry about it. Which you could actually do that as an if then, and then you wouldn't need the accept really. Except you'd still want the accept because maybe it couldn't delete it. Like there could be other reasons for that. Well, I guess. See, I may change my mind right there. Because if you hit that exception, what that could mean is that the files were there and you couldn't delete them, like because of a user permission issue, and then your new stuff could go in beside it, but that means you could have a bunch of cruft in there. So I think I do want to exit. Because I put destination has already gone here, but that's not necessarily what it would. That's not necessarily what it is. It could be. This is interesting. I wouldn't. This is me talking out loud, obviously, because it's talking. I wouldn't have come across the thing that I just thought about if I wasn't talking to the ether. Because when this tries to run rmtree, the first error that I saw was that the directory didn't exist. And so I just kind of went, oh, okay, it doesn't exist. I wrote, it's already gone. That's not the only reason that rmtree might fail. It also might fail if the permissions on the directory don't allow whoever's running the script to delete it. That's a whole separate thing, right? We just talked about the directory could be locked and you couldn't get it, and some other stuff may be in there that you couldn't get, and that could end up being cruft. That could conflict with the stuff that you're in there because your stuff may not overwrite it. It may go beside it. Like you don't know. Like it puts you in an unknown state, and that's kind of a general rule, right? Is once you hit an unknown state, you want to crap out, and or explode, and explode hard. Don't kind of keep pushing through to see like what else. It was like, oh, it'll probably be okay. Like, yes, lots of times it is. Like in this case, it's a small thing, whatever. But like those are things that can really get you. Pi exits. So I don't know if this is, whoops. Import sys. So the other reason that it's good to type sometimes is it makes it more likely for me to remember that sys is a system thing. And then if I type down here, sys.exit, like I'm much more likely to remember this. And so also I want to make sure that it really did. Wait, it didn't exit. So I shouldn't get here. Boom. Okay, good. And then so we want to go here. Could not delete Nischter at. What's the format thing? Is that it? Again, this is something like eventually this, if I do enough Python, this will get in my, it'll get my fingers, but I can't remember right now. Yeah, so here's a decent error message, right? And like if we really wanted to do it, we would do error. Could not delete destination directory at and then our directory path. So this lets us know like what's actually going on. And again, this is like for this little type of kind of one-off script, it seems like that may be overkill, but every now and then doing this helps find things. So anything that's more than just a couple steps, and there's got to be more than a couple steps here, like it's worth thinking about and worth doing that. Right? It's good practice. It's a best practice. Like teach their own, but like I increasingly find, or increasingly over the years, because this is not new to me. I've done this, but it's still kind of new because I still keep learning the lesson. But it's very much like a thing. Like try to do the best practices. And eventually, if I wasn't doing this online, I would actually probably write tests for this. But that would cross the threshold of slowness that I think would be detrimental to everybody. I almost said non-beneficial, but detrimental to everybody. Words are coming back to my brain. But yeah, so there we go. So, but now that also lets us know that our next step should be working, right? Which we want to go to Pi, create directory. Make a directory if it doesn't exist. Yeah, so I did Pi create directory, but this is really what I want. And the word create isn't in the title, but it's somewhere in this, it's somewhere in the page, like it searches the full page or the whole thing. The other thing I should point out about NVAlt is something I'm going to do on a different screen for a second. I'll show you. Where is it? Open a new tab. So this is my grimoire directory. So NVAlt just points to a directory and looks at text files inside that directory. As you can see, I have 2,900 items in here, and this directory does get slow. Oh yeah, so we're going down to like, so Pi basic something config, that'll be the first Pi thing here, right? So this name is the file name, and then it's just a bunch of markdown. And so it's straight text files. They work everywhere. They're fantastic. Merlin Mann, by the way, if you ever follow his podcasts, which I recommend, they're very enjoyable, is the dude who first told me about, or he talked about this on a podcast. So 2 thumbs up. It's been like, it's the most critical piece of software for me, and it has had the biggest impact on my coding ability, even though there's no code in it, or it's not coding itself. It's just a note-taking tool. But like, there's I believe it's the dude named Cory Doctorow who talks about like the outboard brain. This is my outboard brain, and the biggest trick with it is the speed of access to it. And like, I'm actually going a little slow on NVAlt right now because OBS is running, even though not too much, but because like every now and then you get ahead of it, and it makes a file that it shouldn't, or that you don't want, just because the machine's bogged down. But like, it's so super fast that like, I mean, you've seen me bounce around on it, right? So spend some time with it. It's great. It'll take you a while to get there, but like, again, and so I've got 2,900 files there, and I've actually pulled off to help keep it from getting slower. And I don't think there's another 2,900 in this archive directory. NVAlt doesn't see the archive directory. NVUltra will apparently have some ability to do different directory stuff. But like, so these are notes from when I was doing Ansible stuff. I don't. So sorry, you can see the archive directory now. I haven't done Ansible in forever, so I just moved that stuff off. I would actually like to have it still in the main NVAlt thing, and I couldn't tell if NVAlt was actually getting slow with 5,000 files in there, but psychologically it felt like it was, so it was worth it to me to just kind of like throw stuff into an archive or just out of place. But like I used to have my XSLT stuff in the archive, but I needed to do some XSLT work again, so I just copied it back in, and NVAlt picks it right up. Like it's anyways, so what was I doing? That's gonna be another thing about these, is they're gonna be kind of all over the place. Like this is kind of the way I think about stuff and think through, and I think about things to say, and there you go. So we want to create a directory. So we're gonna NVAlt by create directory. I like keeping my modules alphabetized. Pathlib, path, my directory, make dir, true, exists, okay. Credit. Oh, there's like an error thing down here somewhere too, right? Exists, true. It does not raise an exception if the directory already exists. Oh, okay. Oh, exists, true. Okay, yeah. So if it's already there, it doesn't choke. You don't need to want the parent to be created. Skip the parents argument. Okay, we don't want the parents done on this one, just because we want to make sure that we don't create a file all over the place. So, pathlib, path, I go back and forth about spelling destination all the way out. Like, so far it's been in my fingers, but I probably just misspell it there because I'm talking about it. I like the explicitness of it, but it's longer to type. But I kind of go back and forth on that. Like that's what all variable naming is, right? There's two problems in computer sciences: caching, naming things, and off by one errors, right? I forget who said that. But I love it. So we don't want to do parents, but we will do exists okay equals taru. Actually, I can get rid of this. Error could not create. And we're just going to do this. We know how to do it now. Format, destination, DREC, destination directory. Is that enough parentheses? No, it's not. And then we'll do sys.exit here. If it chokes. Oh. Funny. All right, so I'm not going to worry about this. But that, because it exited there, it's never going to make it. It's never going to make it down to lines 18 to 22. Because once, well, the first time, if it's already there, it would probably work. Because it would delete it and then make it to the next one and then create it again. In fact, let's try that. But this is a potential bug where if the directory doesn't exist, it's never going to be created because it gets exited out before. Because when it tries to delete it, it can't, so it exits prior to the creation. But if it exists, it'll delete it. That try will get passed, and then it'll create it. So I think what's going to happen now. Prod target Is it prod? Yeah, so content, and I'm not gonna copy the whole thing. Actually, what would that take? Is that gonna be forever? I was trying to see how much of that. Yeah, so 1,000 items or whatever. Definitely went faster. Whatever, that's fine. So here's prod target with a bunch of crap in it. A bunch of content in it. But so I still have the sysexit in here, but if I run this now, cool. So deleted it and then recreated it. So there we go. Got a clean slate. Hooray. What is all this stuff? Oh. Themes. Why is this? I don't understand. Oh, I should have committed. So this is prod target. I should have committed when I copied that over. Oh, but I wanted to delete the content files before I did that. That was kind of the point. Okay, cool. So a prod target copy to send files to. So do that. And then clear the target content directory. All right, I'm getting a little tired because this is up in energy and all the other stuff. I'm draining more energy than normal. So do I want to keep going? No, I think that's good for now. I can start back there next time I do one of these, which will probably be tomorrow, and just get started from there because I have a foothold, right? All that stuff was prep work and talking about it, getting ready and showing the interview, like all that jazz. But now we're actually writing code, so I can come back in and I'll start off the next one with a quick explanation of what this does and how the setup is, and then we'll go from there. But we made a little progress. So cool. Thanks for watching. If you want to say hi, shoot me a note. I'm on Twitter at the Id of Allen. And we'll see you next time. Let's see if I can actually figure out how to turn this off. I need hotkeys. I'm sure they've got that. But we'll see how it goes. So see y'all. Bye-bye. Oh, actually, I should do the outro because I got an outro. Ready?